Hello everyone, Mr. Bob right here, and today in this video I'm going to show you how to record your PlayStation 3 console using your existing video capture device in 2020. But before we get on to the video, there's going to be timestamps on the video player and also down in the description if you want to skip over a certain part of the section of the video. But we're going to go one by one just to talk about when it comes to recording to the PlayStation 3. But of course the first thing we're going to talk about is the HDCP, the equipment, how to set up everything, and of course record on the PlayStation 3. But as well, if you want to learn more on how to record other consoles like the PlayStation 2, Super NES, and N64, there's going to be video links down in the description, and also on the top right there's a little eye icon. You can also select it there to learn on how to record those other consoles and many more in the further future. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. So the first topic we're going to talk about is the HDCP on the PlayStation 3, but if you guys do not know what it is, it's basically high bandwidth digital content protection. Now there's no way to record anything using fully the HDMI connection on the back of your PlayStation 3 to a external capture card device. There's no way to record it. It's just going to tell you HDCP warning. That's it. You cannot do anything about it. Now, there's a way to record your PlayStation 3 using the AV connector in the back for composite and component, which is pretty damn awesome if you don't want to deal with the HDCP or that you want to use HDMI connection. But nowadays, everything's all HDMI. Consoles, PCs, video capture device, TVs, laptops, mostly everything is standard with HDMI. So it's kind of hard to find a capture card that you are able to use the analog connectors or connections, the cables, in order for you to record from your PlayStation 3. Now, the very first capture device that I know for a very long time that was able to record multiple connections like HDMI, composite, and component was the Elgato Game Catcher HD. But it's been a very long time, but now they don't manufacture it anymore. They end the life of it for a couple years already, and the only way to find a new one brand new is either someone has not opened it, maybe a lucky store has one, or you're mostly going to find a lot of used ones either on eBay or on Amazon. And how does the device looks? It looks like this. Pretty simple, but this is the connector right here, a DIN connector that you're able to connect using a little plastic piece for your composite and your component cables, and also a special cable for the PlayStation 3 in order for you to capture anything on the PlayStation 3 console. But of course, since it's going to be hard to find one of these, it's kind of very hard to determine if it's worth your money to get this capture card. Now, the other capture card that is a little bit more expensive, that this is the only one that I know so far that you are able to use the DIN connectors, is called the StarTech HDMI video capture device. And as you can see down here, we have the DIN connectors right there on the right side. Those are the DIN connectors. It uses S-Video, it uses composite, it uses component, and all you have to do is connect it right there in this little DIN connector slot, and that's where you will connect everything using your PlayStation 3. But of course, I have not seen any videos of anybody using this for the PlayStation 3, but you have many other connections as well to record using this capture card. But it's too bad that I do not own one, and I have not seen videos of people using it for the PlayStation 3, so I'm not sure how good of this capture card will be for your PlayStation 3 console. So that's pretty much it for the HDCP, guys. But one last thing that we're going to do right now is I'm going to show you right here on my Elgato Game Catcher software. Right now I have everything connected to my capture card, the HD60S. Everything is turned on, my PlayStation 3 and my TV. Everything's connected, and right now, as I'm going to show you right now, it's going to give me a warning sign right here on the top right there you go, HDCP, and it's just a warning. That means I cannot record, I cannot live stream at all with the PlayStation 3. And it's pretty a shame if you do try to do this, it's going to give you the same error or warning telling you that it is HDCP protected. So I am going to show you on how to bypass everything, of course, but just remember, this is what's going to happen if you're trying to connect everything just with HDMI. But there are ways to bypass it, and I'm going to show you right now. Now moving on over to the equipment side, now there are two ways to capture with the PlayStation 3. The full HDMI connection and as well the component cables. But of course it's going to be timestamped down in the description. You want to move on over to which connection you want to go with. But yes, there are ways to bypass with the HDMI connection using the device, the same thing with the component cables. But first we're going to use the HDMI first, and then we'll move on over to the component side. The only capture card that I have right now is the ElgatoHD60S. Of course, there's many different capture cards out there, but you gotta understand whatever capture card you have, you gotta make sure that it does allow to record with the PlayStation 3. But of course, this is the only capture card I have at the moment, but you can still follow along this video if you do have a different capture card, but just make sure that it does allow you to record with the PlayStation 3. So if you are going to go with the HDMI connection, we have the ViewHD HDMI 1x2 splitter. And this is the box that comes with the device itself. It's pretty simple. But of course, I bought this on Amazon. They do have a website where you could buy it. But I bought this on Amazon using Amazon Prime. But of course, it does come with a power adapter. Pretty simple, pretty easy to use. So no USB connection or USB powered. It's just, you know, basic power supply connector. But of course, here's the device itself, which is pretty simple as well. As you can see there on the bottom right is the model number of the device, and of course has ViewHD on the top left. And in the front you got the power connector and the HDMI input, which connects to the PlayStation 3. And then you got two HDMI outputs. They're either connected to your video capture device or your TV and monitor. But of course, this is the model I have right now, so as a recording of this video, I'm not sure if you're going to have a different one depending on when you buy it. But just remember, this is the model I have right now as a recording of this video. Of course, you do need 3 HDMI cables in order for you to connect everything with the PlayStation 3 to your video capture device and to your TV. Okay, so you're not going to use the HDMI route, we're going to use the component cables. Now, the ones that I have are HD Retrovision cables for PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. Of course, you could use whatever generic component cables you have in your possession, but I highly recommend you that you do get new ones for generic, but the ones that I have are HD Retrovision, and these are very good quality cables. They're very bulky. It's just very well built component cables that I've been using for almost a year now, and they are fantastic. I highly recommend them, but you could use whatever component cables you have in your possession in order for you to connect with the PlayStation 3. Now, in order for you to use your component cables, we need a converter box, but this one does come with a power supply included, which is really nice. But the converter box we are using is from Portta. Now, there's 2 different versions of this. One that is not an upscaler, which is the one I have, and the other one is an upscaler. The upscaler one will have a button in the back to switch it from 720p to 1080p. But this particular one, I bought it on Amazon, nowhere else, just bought it on Amazon. And of course, it does have all the connectors in the front, which is the green, blue, red, and then the audio jacks. That is how it's supposed to look. Now, if you look in the back, it should just be a full HDMI with the power connector, and that's it. But you do have the one that has the button. That means you got the one with the upscaler. We're not going to use the upscaler at all. And of course, there's the model number of the device itself, HDMI converter. But this is the one that we're going to use in order for us to record using the component cables, either the HD Retrovision ones or your just normal generic component cables that you have laying around. But I highly recommend you that you do get some newer cables so that the quality should look very nice and clean when you are trying to capture it for your PlayStation 3. And the last thing you need is 2 HDMI cables to connect your converter box to your Elgato, and then the last HDMI will be connecting to your Elgato to the TV, but you do need 2 HDMI cables. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I set up everything. Just remember, this is going to be a very long cable, but I have the HDMI splitter right now. As you can see from the PlayStation 3, I have everything connected through the HDMI coming through the input of the HDMI splitter, while the power is already on for the HDMI splitter right here in the power surge, and then I have the second HDMI going through the output of number 2, and then it's going through the ElgatoHD60S on the input right next to the USB cable, and then the final HDMI is going to the output of the capture card going to the TV, which is a 4K Samsung TV. And now the last thing you're going to do is to restore or default the resolution on the HDMI connection, because sometimes the PlayStation 3 doesn't hot swap very much when you're trying to change a lot with HDMI cables. So the one thing you're going to do, and it's pretty simple, you're going to hold down the PlayStation button right here until you hear the second beep. You will let go of your finger so that it will restore or just go to default to the original resolution of the PlayStation 3 to detect for the HDMI connection. So I'm going to press on it and hold it. That's one beep. And now that's the second beep. You let it go and you just like back. Let's see if we do get a connection or a display on the PlayStation 3. As you can see there, an available HDMI device has detected, and you're going to click on, of course, yes. And then after that, you are ready to go. You're going to click on yes to configure everything on the current resolution. And yes, everything's connected. It has a display and everything. And I also have audio coming out from the PlayStation 3. So you are ready, set to go, and you could start playing right now with the PlayStation 3 if you want to. But of course, we're going to transfer over to the PC side to show you how I record everything using the software and also OBS Studio. Okay everyone, I just wanted to double check that everything is working, but we are transferring over to the PC side. And right now I'm going to turn on my Elgato software, which I use for my Elgato device. Now I know everybody's going to have different capture cards or different software. That's alright, you just check for yourself and you do get a signal out of your capture device. As you can see here, it's going to turn on, and yes, we do have a connection and a signal with the PlayStation 3. But of course I'm going to go over to the little wheel. And right here, this is all the settings I use to capture or get a signal from my PlayStation 3. So I had the input device as other. I don't have it anywhere else, just have it at other. While the audio input is at HDMI, make sure that the video input is at HDMI as well. And color range depends on you, how you want to use it, but you could keep it as standard or expand it. But you could play around if you want to, depending on what games. Now profile, I keep it at 1080p, or you can go lower if you want to. And then quality, you could change it to good, best, or better. And that is it. And you just click OK. And for me, I just click cancel because I already have everything set up. And yes, it does work. And if I go all the way to the left, all the way to the right, you do see over here in the audio of the game audio, there is audio playing. But don't worry, right now I am going to go to one of the games to play some little music so you could hear for yourself that it does work. So right now I'm going to do that. So there you go, guys. Yes, music does play very well with the HDMI splitter on the Elgato device. So there you go, guys. That's how you're able to connect everything using the software. But right now we're going to transfer over to OBS Studio so I can show you how I set up everything, how everything's connected, so that if you're going to use OBS Studio, there's a way to plug in everything with the PlayStation 3. Now for you people that want to use OBS Studio, it's pretty simple. Just make sure you have a scene, and in your sources, you got to click on the plus button, go to video capture device, and of course you could name a new one if you want to, but I already have one existing, which is E60, and I'm going to click on OK. And as you can see here, it does work perfectly. But of course, I changed some of the properties on this capture device so you can know what I use. But right here on device, I keep mine at Game Capture HD60S Video 01. Now you could change it to Elgato Game Capture HD, but I think for these both, there's some latency depending on which one. But I think the fastest one is this one, the S Video one. But of course, it depends on you, on what other capture devices you have for the software, but it varies. But for me personally, I keep mine at Video 1. Now, for resolution, I keep mine at custom. Now, when it comes to default device, depending on what games, there's a lot of games out there that do not support 1080p. A lot of them, they just support 720p. So when it comes to that, just remember that if you are going to start recording, you got to remember the back of the box of whatever game you're playing, what resolution does it support? Because sometimes when you're trying to record, and let's say you're playing a game that only supports 720p, but you're trying to capture everything at 1080p, well, the video is going to be shrunk down if you keep it at default device. So I keep mine at custom. Now, of course, in resolution, I keep mine at 1080p, but you could change it however you want to, 720p or any of these other resolutions. But I mostly have it at 1080p. Now, frames per second, I keep it at 5994. You could go full 60, 30, 2997, however you want to, but that's where I keep mine. Now, video format, I keep it at YUY2. Cutter space and cutter range, keep both at default, and that's pretty much it. And all you have to do is click OK. And now you are ready to record using OBS Studio. And right now, I'm going to show you some examples recording from the Elgato software and OBS Studio.
Ready? Fight! Demon Wave! Take this! Take this! Take this! Over here! You've got to power up more!
Yeah! This is it! Gather! Heal!
Kazama.
No way, no ear, no nose, no hand, no
Round one, fight!
Okay everyone, so now I'm going to show you how I set up everything with the component cables. As you can see here, here's the converter box, and of course the cables itself is pretty long, but you could use normal generic component cables if you want to, but everything's connected to the PlayStation 3, coming around over here to the Portta, and right now it is powered on to the power surge over here, and then this HDMI is coming through and connecting to the input of the ElgatoHD60S right next to the Type-C connector, and then the final HDMI is connecting to the back of the capture card going to the TV. Now the last thing that you're going to do is of course reset or default the resolution first, because we need to change our PlayStation 3 to component. We cannot use HDMI, we have to switch it to component. So the first thing you're going to do is right here in the power button, you go to hold it down until you hear 2 beeps. Until that second beep, you let it go so that you could default everything to component cable or any other connection that you're going to use it for. So demonstration right now, that's the first beep. And that's the second beep, I let it go. And I'll let my PlayStation 3 do its job to default our connections, because if you do use other connectors like maybe composite or maybe a different component cable, or you're using HDMI, you do have to reset it. As you can see there, everything reset it, just normal 480p or 480i, whatever resolution it is. But of course we need to go all the way to where it says settings, go all the way down to where it says display settings. Then you're going to go to video output settings right there in the very first one, and then you're going to switch it to component or D terminal, and yes, you're going to click on change, and then once you change it, you're going to click on yes, and then it does support all these resolutions. You're just going to click all of them, of course, because you do want to support every resolution. Then you go click on the right of the D-pad, and after that everything should be at full 1080p, as you can see right there. And sorry for the blurry text, because that's how my my camera is. But after that, you're going to click on yes, and right there we have all the resolutions. You're going to click enter, and then last thing you're going to do is set up the audio, which is the RC audio cables right there, audio input connector. Then you're going to click on enter, and that's pretty much it. You are set to go. Right now I do hear the sound coming out from my PlayStation 3, but right now we're going to switch it over to the PC side so I can show you that it does work using the component cables. So right now everyone, we trans over to the PC side with the component cables, and now we're going to turn on our Elgato software. Now depending on you, of course, if you do have other capture cards, then you will go to your software just in case to see if you do get a signal. But right now, everything is still turned on. My PlayStation 3, my TV, I do have a signal. As you can see right there, we do have a complete signal using the component cables with the converter box, everything at 1080p, 60 frames per second. And of course, over here in the cog wheel, as you can see here, input device, I have it at other. I do not have it any of the other presets right here. I have mine at other. Just make sure that the video input is at HDMI. The audio input, sorry, I didn't mean output, but the audio input right here is HDMI. The HDMI color range, now you could play this around depending on what games, but you could keep it as standard or expanded, however you want to. Now profile, I keep mine at 1080p, 720p. And of course, you could uncheck this if you do not want 60 frames per second. You just uncheck it if you want to go to 30 frames per second. And of course, the quality, good, better, and best, however you want to. And that's pretty much it. All you have to do is click OK, since I already have my settings already done. Right now, I'm going to play a little bit of a music on one of the games right now on the CD that I have played, so you could hear the audio for yourself, that it does come out really nice and neat. So let me just transfer over there. So there you go, guys. It does work. The audio does work for the software itself. And you could just hit that record button right now. But don't worry, I'm going to show you some examples later on in the video. But right now we're going to transfer over to OBS Studio for those people that are using OBS Studio program. So now we transfer over to OBS Studio for anyone that wants to use the converter box. Make sure you have a scene. Go to your sources, go to the plus button, and go to where it says video capture device. And after that, you can name it whatever you want to, but I already have one existing already, and that's already on my sources, of course, but all you have to do is click OK. And then right here on E60, I have it not showing right now, but if I click it, yes, I do have a signal. And right now we're going to go over to the properties. And right here on the properties, I changed a couple of stuff because right here on device, I keep it at video 1. Now, if you change it to Elgato Game Capture HD, that's the software included. But the only problem is that I think there's more latency with this one than the video 1. I could be wrong about that, but you could play it however you want to, do some tests. But so far with the Game Capture HD60S video 1, it's been working very nice and neatly with minimal delay on the video capture device. But of course, right here on resolution, I keep mine at custom. Now, the reason why I don't keep it at default device because there are certain games on the PlayStation 3 that support 720p only, or maybe just 1080i. So you just got to be careful on certain games out there because some games do not support higher resolution. So if you do switch it to default device and somehow your video output of your video is at 1080p, but the game is at 720p, well, the video is going to shrink down to 720p. So I mostly keep mine at custom, keep it at 1080p. So whatever game I'm playing is always going to be at 1080p or 720p, whatever resolution you want it to be at. And of course, there's many other resolution that you could change here, however you want to, but I'm going to keep mine at 1080p. Frames per second, of course, 5994, full 60, 30, 2997, however you want to, but I keep mine at 5994. Now, video format, I keep mine at YUY2. It might be different for other different capture cards out there, but I always keep mine at YUY2. Color space and color range, I keep both at default, and that's pretty much it. That's all the things I need to change, and all you have to do is click OK. And now you are ready to record using the OBS Studio, the converter box on the PlayStation 3. And right now, I'm going to show you some examples using the converter boxes on the Elgato software and OBS Studio.
Here! You're finished! That's it?
I'm telling you.
Ready? Fight!
On you. On you.
Hold on, I'm coming!
This is it. Ha! Yeah, it's over. Back off. Yeah, it's over. Yeah, back off. Gather. Back off. Back off! Huh.
the young hero, Enu Williams. Round 1, fight! You win.
Now we are at the very end of the video, guys, and I just want to say thank you for watching. And now we know how to record our PlayStation 3 using our existing video capture device, either using the HDMI splitter or the component converter box. But as well, guys, if you have any more questions, make sure to leave it down in the comments below. And as well, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And also give this video a like and share this with any of your friends or anybody around the world that want to know how to record their PlayStation 3 content. But like always, keep on playing and game for life, guys. See you later.